What's going on, everyone? So, after contract talks stalled, Buddy Hield and the Indiana Pacers will look for a trade. This was reported heavily by countless people, but this report you're looking at specifically is from Shams and The Athletic. So, Buddy Hield is on the final year of his contract. Next year, he will be an unrestricted free agent. He is making currently $18.5 million. So there is some value in a potential trade for him, right, as just an expiring deal. Question is, what is the Indiana Pacers looking for? Are they looking for a package to try to get some assets, to get some picks? Do they want to keep cap flexibility, right? Because how many teams have 18 million in cap space that they could trade to go and get a Buddy Hield that would make sense for the Indiana Pacers, right? Like some teams have guys locked up long term and could easily go, hey, take this guy off our hands and we'll take Buddy Hield, right? Just an example, but like look at somebody like Terry Rozier and the Charlotte Hornets, right? They could work something out to where they get like TJ McCollum and Buddy Hield for Terry Rozier, but that makes no sense for the Indiana Pacers. I mean, maybe they like Rozier, but do they want to be locked up in his money long term? So there's a couple obstacles that the Indiana Pacers would definitely have to kind of overcome in order to unload Buddy Hield, and what team is willing to give up assets to acquire him, especially when he could leave after that season. Right? So like, let's say somebody does end up trading for him. If it's not in a situation, it's not an environment in which he wants to be in, or it's a non-contending team or something like that, right? I've seen like the San Antonio Spurs kind of get thrown around, right? Like, does he want to be on the Spurs, a team that is not in contention and could potentially leave? So are the Spurs willing to give up a bunch of assets to go acquire him? Now, on the surface, he's an excellent shooter, right? One of the best in the entire league. He's 30 years old, 6'4", 6'9" wingspan. He's a guy that could absolutely make an impact on pretty much any roster in the league, right? To have such a good shooter. And he's coming off of an excellent season in which he shot 46% from the field total, but he shot 42.5% from three-point range on 8.5 attempts. This is a guy that's a 40% three-point shooter for his career, a high-volume three-point shooter, coming off of just slight of 17 points per game, 5 rebounds, 2.8 assists, and 1.2 steals. Now, he's a guy that isn't really known for his defense. He can be a defensive liability at times, which could pose a problem. But regardless, he's a guy that would be an excellent addition to any contending roster. A guy that you could put in heavy minutes, spot minutes, start him, bring him off the bench, whatever you want. If you have a playmaker that can set him up, he's a guy that's going to put the ball in the hoop. And a lot of people in Lakers Nation really want to see the Lakers go and acquire Buddy Hield. And look, again, it makes a world of sense on the surface because you get a dead-eye shooter that could be very valuable, and you add him to this roster, good luck trying to beat this team, right? Like, I mean, if you could find a way to get Buddy Hield, that would be brilliant. Now, the problem is how do the Lakers go and trade for him? That's the issue. Now, if, let's say the Indiana Pacers can't find a deal, and Buddy Hield says, hey, I want you to buy me out, and maybe Indiana is willing to buy him out, then yeah, the Lakers sign him immediately because you get him for a vet minimum deal. But that I don't see being very realistic because he is a guy that is an expiring contract that has value, that could be very good on several teams. And like even like a team like the Clippers, they have expiring contracts. They have like Covington and Batum and guys like that would be expiring that maybe they could send to Indiana in exchange for Buddy Hield, just to kind of do like a swap for swap and give up like second round pick or whatever. Do something along those lines to kind of compensate for Buddy Hield. So there are teams that I could see him kind of landing with and end up working out. But the only way that the Lakers could really go and acquire him for a like 1-for-1 swap would be with D'Angelo Russell, right? They could take D'Angelo Russell and basically just do D'Lo for Buddy Hield. They're making pretty much the same amount of money, and that could be a 1-for-1 swap. Problem is I'd rather have D'Lo, right? D'Lo shot almost the same percent from three and is a more dynamic scorer, but he's also an excellent playmaker. They're both basically defensive liabilities, but D'Lo provides more versatility. Like Buddy Hield, you're getting a three-point shooter and a guy that can make, shots. He can shoot off the dribble, stuff like that, but he's a guy that is more needing of setup. Where you could just, like D'Lo could get the ball off the rebound and just go to work. And not only set himself up, but set others up. And I just think D'Lo is more dynamic of a player overall, right? He's a guy that can go give you 17 a game and still go give you 6 to 8 assists per game and is super efficient from all three levels for the Lakers last year, right? And I just think his fit would work very nicely. Now, do the Lakers look at Buddy Hield as a better long-term alternative right now? Because he is 30 years old, right? So, and him just kind of being a shooter, he's probably got a good another 6 years at least to where he could be very good and very effective and very impactful, right? And maybe they're looking at it as like, okay, we could trade D'Lo. Maybe you don't have to give up any picks. Maybe Indiana is even willing to give up like a second or something like that. Because again, D'Lo is the better player. And on top of that, you can kind of let Austin Reeves now play point guard, right? Which is something that the Lakers want to explore. It's something that Austin Reeves wants to explore. And maybe you go with like a Reeves, Buddy Hield. At that point, I think you got to start Jared Vanderbilt, right? So you go Reeves, Buddy Hield, Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron, and AD. That could be something that could be very interesting. And Buddy Hield might be Buddy Hield, the fit isn't a question, right? Buddy Hield on the Lakers fit-wise will fit seamlessly. He'll be fine. He's going to get more open looks than he's probably ever gotten in his career. So it makes a world of sense for Buddy Hield on this roster, but at the cost of D'Lo, I don't know. Unless, again, the Lakers look at it as like Reeves can kind of be the point guard. You got LeBron James and we got Gabe Vincent. Go bring in Buddy Hield. He would be immediately our best three-point shooter. And now we have that go-to just dead-eye shooter that this team is kind of lacking, right? Like that could be something that could be a way that they look at it. But Buddy Hield is also, for the Lakers and Lakers fans, he's kind of like the one that got away, right? Rob Pelinka had a deal done with Sacramento to acquire Buddy Hield. The Lakers have tried to acquire him on several occasions. They had a deal done again with Indiana this last offseason. But one, with the Indiana Pacers, Jeannie said no. And then prior to that, LeBron James and Anthony Davis wanted Russell Westbrook, so they went and got Russell Westbrook instead of Buddy Hield. So Buddy Hield is that guy that he's kind of like that mirage that like you keep trying to get to, and it's just like every time it just doesn't happen. So you wouldn't be able to trade for him now, right? I see a lot of people, oh, Rob, get it done. Like D'Lo isn't available for trade till I believe like December or something like that. So like you would have some time before you could trade Buddy Hield. Now that doesn't mean that Indiana's in a rush, right? Indiana might be in no hurry to go sign Buddy Hield, but maybe best case scenario is a team like the Spurs trade for him and then waive him, or a team that goes and like wants to unload some salary, right? Maybe you get a team that's like, oh, we want to unload some guys. Let's go acquire Buddy Hield. And then he doesn't want to be on this roster because we're not a contender and it doesn't make any sense for him. So let's just waive him, buy him out, and let him go elsewhere. And we just saved a bunch of money long term, right? That happens quite a bit, right? We've seen that happen a lot. But again, like most teams that are going to go and try to acquire Buddy Hield are going to be teams that are going to want to use him, right? Because Indiana would have to want to acquire whatever those pieces are and have it make sense for them, right? They're not just going to take long-term salary to take long-term salary. But if maybe that would be best case scenario. But as far as going and trading for Buddy Hield, I wouldn't hold my breath on that matter because you can't trade for him for a while. So Indiana, they very likely want to get a deal done ASAP, so they kind of have their roster intact, getting ready for the playoff or for the regular season because they want to be a playoff team. They want to be a good team. They're trying to win. So maybe they keep Buddy Hield to start and kind of gauge, and maybe they can keep his trade value up, and then you get a team that is desperate around the trade deadline or something and maybe willing to give you more. If that's the case, then cool, right? Maybe the Lakers can go and acquire Buddy Hield at that point. Not saying that they'd be a desperate team, but maybe there's more flexibility, and plus maybe Indiana's like, okay, well, we don't want to lose him for nothing, so give us a second. Lakers have plenty of seconds, and you're in good shape. But Buddy Hield to the Lakers, I really wouldn't hold my breath to. Now, if it happens, I'm all for it, right? Like, I don't hate the idea of Buddy Hield to the Lakers by any stretch of the imagination. I think Buddy Hield would be seamless on this roster and would be a huge impact for this Lakers roster. And it would kind of allow Austin Reeves to kind of be the main on-ball guy, which could be good, right, for Reeves and the Lakers. But it doesn't make any sense to trade D'Lo for Buddy Hield and then on top of that have to give up a second-round pick or something. If you're getting assets, right? If you're trading Buddy Hield for D'Lo and you're also getting, 2 seconds in the deal from Indiana, then sure, at that point, yeah, I would absolutely do that, right? Like, because Buddy Hield is going to give you a lot of similar scoring output that D'Lo would give you, and he doesn't have to be on the ball heavily, so you can kind of let the guys that you want on the ball kind of be on the ball, and you're getting assets in the deal. But if Indiana's like, hey, yeah, we'll trade for D'Lo, but we want a second or something, like, it makes zero sense for the Lakers. So, again, I wouldn't get my hopes up, but if it happens, cool. If it doesn't, that's probably the more likely scenario. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? Do you want Buddy? Do you not? Love to hear it.